This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel. And today, for those of you that like the simulation stuff, we're just going to spend a brief moment because one of the Camel Crew found something extremely interesting to me. So I want to briefly talk about this. Then we're going to do a bit of Bitcoin news as always, look at some charts because the charts just keep getting better and better. And then I will show you a new position that we took in the level 3 members section yesterday. And we will continue to hunt down the rest of these cycle lows. So hit that subscribe button, follow along as we hit these trades in real time, called out ahead of time, and let's get into this. First of all, I'm not picking on this person here. I'm just using this to illustrate a point, okay? So it's nothing personal, it's business. But this person said, another busted daily cycle low, same stuff as back in May, okay? And I just wanted to point at this and say, first of all, this current cycle low is not busted, okay? And it's absolutely true to say that. The second thing to point out is back in May was not busted either, it was a cycle inversion. So the reason I pointed this is just to let you know what we do on this channel is cycle theory. And if you don't understand cycle theory, you're forever going to be commenting things like this, that all they do is simply fly a flag to show everyone that you don't understand the rules. There is absolutely tons of educational material. I've made it my mission to make cycle trading available to everyone. There are a tutorial playlist full of the rules. There's a PDF, which I'll tag down here, that contains everything I know about cycle theory. There's an entire website with hours and hours and hours of free content that you can go on and understand how cycle theory works and all of the little nuances. There's also a bunch of other material there. So please, if you're going to be part of the Camel Crew, you're going to need to understand how cycles work, since that's what we do here. Please use this as an opportunity to learn and understand how cycles work. Add this to your trading arsenal so you can become a better trader. Otherwise, you're just going to be frustrated like this poor guy here is. For those of you that know the rules, for those of you that understand the power of cycles, you're going to love this, okay? I have long been saying, in fact, it's in the opening paragraph to that PDF that I wrote, that based on all of my research, all of my experience trading cycles, trying to understand them, I could only draw the conclusion that the cycles are part of a hard code that makes up the universe. I have no better way to explain it. And Cray here seemed to have confirmed my suspicions were correct all along. These cycles appear to be related to Fibonacci numbers. The fib number sequence is within 60. So if you take 13, a fib number, and multiply it with other fib numbers, 13 times 2 gives you 26, which is the weekly and daily cycle count for gold. 13 times 3 gives you 39, which is right in the middle of the window for the 40-day cycle that we experience in the S&P, the stocks, and many other asset classes. And 13 times 5 gives you 65. Again, inside of this 60-day window that I have been using for the likes of Bitcoin and some other cryptos. 21 and 55 are also fib numbers and may hint at ranges for the 20 and 60-day cycles. Pretty crazy, right? And I understand that for a lot of people this will be falling on deaf ears, but I know that there's a lot of you that subscribe to this whole simulation hypothesis. I know there's a lot of you that subscribe to a created universe. And so I wanted to share this with you. I wanted to shout out Cray once more. Extremely interesting if you ask me. Over in the world of Bitcoin, Hyperbitcoinisation intensifies because in South Korea, they just elected a pro-Bitcoin president who promises to legalize spot Bitcoin ETFs and scrap the unfair regulations. Meanwhile, the grocery store giant Spar is going to expand Bitcoin Lightning payments to more countries in Europe. It currently has 13,900 stores across 48 countries. So slowly but surely over time, this trend continues. We continue to see adoption continue, and we continue to love to see this. As we start to approach some technicals for Bitcoin, are we just doing a rinse and repeat of the last breakout, right? Breakout, bull flag, another push to a new high. Is that what this is here? Breakout, bull flag, getting ready for another push to new all-time highs. And for those of you that like the global M2 liquidity, this also continues to point to Bitcoin being much higher. Notice how we're working on the daily cycle low, looking for this push to the upside. I am still making the case that I don't think correlation equals causation here. I don't necessarily think you can use this, and I have long been suggesting that I don't think this thing carries as much weight as most people think it does, for the simple reason that this is somewhat of a cherry-picked look. If you actually overlay M2 yourself across the Bitcoin chart and zoom all the way out, it essentially, in my opinion, is pretty useless. But I know a lot of people will push back, right? They'll say things like, there is no recessions when M2 is going up, right? Except for all of them, okay? And this is what I mean. Context is key. So if you know, you know. But the long and short of it is, we're bullish Bitcoin, we're expecting new all-time highs. And whilst it is not necessarily my base case, we will hit these high numbers such as 300 plus K, I certainly think it's a non-zero possibility, and I also certainly think that everyone would do well to be open to this as one possible outcome. So moving into the charts, I think we've confirmed a slightly early cycle low here. My invalidation for hunting for new lows is always a new higher high close. That's what we got as of yesterday. We've added a position. As always for this channel, level 3 members were notified in real time when I pulled the trigger. They were given the exact levels for entry and stop loss. The stop loss is now, after the fact, being made public to everyone else that watches this channel. Here it is, okay, 57.52 for the SPX. As soon as that level is traded or gapped below, I will be stopped out. I will be invalidated publicly, and there you have it, okay? It will be there in every single episode, so we can't possibly cheat it. If I am wrong, you will know I am wrong, and that's how we do it here. I do notice the camel indicator has not picked this low yet. I think it needs to see about 20 more points of upside so it can be sure, and then it will probably label this thing here as a cycle low, and we will look for continuation to the upside. The NASDAQ is looking even stronger, okay? Look at this, higher high closes, and the Dow Jones lagging a little bit behind. I'm more than happy with the Russell 2K. Seems to be roughly following my yellow squiggle, but now at least, and this was one of the assets that we added to the longer term accounts during this spill in the level 3 members section, along with things like the semiconductor ETFs, which a lot of people thought I was mental for doing, by the way. For the precious metals, we're still long and strong gold. So far, breakout, retest, not yet resumed, but looking for resumption. We're about halfway through this daily cycle, if I turn this on. So a little bit more upside potentially, daily cycle low, and then it should be firework time. And if that's what we see, then I still maintain that we're doing this, okay? Also notice, for now at least, this is enough upside momentum for the indicator to have picked this as a weekly cycle low, and you can see that the future weekly cycle low window is projected at the end of this fractal. So something like this is possibly in play, and until such time as this position rolls over and stops me out, then I maintain that this is still the base case. I still think no one is bullish enough on the precious metals. Also notice here, silver is following my yellow squiggle, roughly speaking. It's a bit of a jank yellow squiggle, but it's there. If we turn this thing on, we're looking for a daily cycle low pullback in the not too distant future, and then I think we can potentially talk about adding here. The level 3 members know we've been looking to wait for a pullback into this cycle low window and then double our exposure here, move the stop up from the first position. So this one is still open and running. It'll probably look something like this, I would imagine. Draw a yellow squiggle, maybe something like this, and then we'll add from here and move the stop up, and the target is much higher for SILJ. Also noting here, the mining ETFs that we managed to get hold of out of this weekly cycle low, which was called all the way back towards the end of 2024. These were added in the longer term accounts, and these have been keeping bread on the table for the Camel Crew. So happy days there as well. Like I said, we've added an S&P 500 long, so positioned for all eventualities here. Have got to be open to some left translation and failure. And again, as the level 3 members know, we've got a plan to deal with that should it occur, which just brings us to Bitcoin, doesn't it? In the window now for a cycle low, the indicator is running a slightly different cycle low. For those of you who don't know, the indicator picked this low and ignored the deviation, and we use this as a piece of information to say, okay, that means there's not enough downside to see those other lower levels from down here, which everyone was waiting for. We use this as a piece of confluence to say that was probably the final low and we would see an upside push. You can see it's counted forward 60 days to give its projected window, but it's chosen not to pick a low here, likely because it knows that a low is coming a bit later in life. I think once we get this low show up in the next few days and it confirms with a trend line break, not only will you see me add, not only will you see me accept my count, but we'll also see the camel indicator pick this as a daily cycle low, and everything will be back in sync. The next window will be projected out in line with my next window, and happy days, right? So long and strong there. I made a video for the members yesterday and I was saying it looks to me like some of these miners want to find a bottom. Here's MicroStrategy, for example. So it's certainly not confirmed. I haven't added yet, but we're getting dangerously close. I think if we get one big green candle today, that will be enough for the indicator to pick the low. That will be enough for me to say, okay, that's it, the bottom's in, and then we look for further upside. Things like Riot, for example, showing the making of a nice swing here, just going to need a little bit more of a push, and then I think it's time to start adding some more of these in the level 3 members section. So overall, Cycle's doing cycle things, right? Camel Crew doing camel things, and we're going to keep doing us. So I hope you found value here. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and until tomorrow, I'm your boy Camel. Cheers, bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see, rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame, sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed, Camel.